Okay, we're going to try and take this drawing a little further with this shape here consisting of a shadow and the hedge and the building. Two things I'm going to attempt to show: the depth of the hedge and the space behind these trees. What's happening there? It's just at the moment in my drawing, at least, it's very flat, whereas it's not actually flat there. So I'm going to make an attempt now to show the three-dimensionality of this shape here and what's going on behind. So without any further ado, see, there's a there's a small tree in the distance, and it's followed. There's a sort of tone of the dark branches that I can hardly decipher in the distance, and I'm explaining that because I think it needs to go back more. There needs to be more. Yeah. Take out a branch. Branches coming down. So the tree being three-dimensional, there'll be branches coming out, but branches also going back, and I'm going to try and it's coming forward. Oops. In an attempt to give it some form. You can actually see a line there now. There's quite a strong shadow coming in here. There's some smaller branches going down. There's another one coming round from here. So just sometimes with a few marks you can actually get there quite quickly. I'm half closing my eyes so I get this most simplified tonal version of what I'm looking at, and that helps. It's another form of having it abstracted for you. There's some shadows going back in there. These lines are coming forward. A detail which I wouldn't normally use, but I'm going to use it now just for that very reason, that it helps. And there isn't paper there, there is something going on. Okay. Now, this area, if you just look at the hedge just there, see, I'm gonna, there's three tones. There's the light shining through, then there's the flatness of the leaf, and then there's a darker tone behind it. So I'm going to just try this as a way of explaining that. That smudge at this particular point has made it flatter, but hopefully if I use another tone, it will come out as a more three-dimensional. I'm going to take some of the shapes of the leaves. I'm not going to do every leaf, never will, never do. But it offers some kind of a rhythm. That you get. You can see some leaves coming out here. Put that back in. It's a bit more. I didn't do that very long, did I? Let me go back again, I think. Actually, I'm going to use a darker Conte for that. That should work, I think. Yeah. So I'm just trying to approximate the rhythm in a way of what I see. There's a sort of shapes that somehow might echo what I'm looking at, and at the same time create more depth in the drawing. I don't get too academic with it. Just enough to bring it out in certain areas. This is Siberian crayon. It's like a very compressed charcoal, and you can get even darker tones with it. So I'm just going to use that now in certain areas where I think it's necessary. There's a shadow here. There's my rubber. Oh yeah. There's a bit too much light coming here. So tonally, importantly, it's very easy to micromanage certain areas and then forget the bigger picture. And it's actually, you always have to constantly go back and assess everything to get a sense of what's really going on tonally. I'd say at the moment the light hitting the grass, the brick, the roof and the sky would be tonally pretty much the same at the moment. That's how I'm treating it. Just because this is a different colour, the roof's red, the grass green, doesn't actually mean you have to it doesn't mean it's a different tone. Tone and colour are two very different things. I'm going back to this beautiful tree in the distance here. I can see a stronger shadow coming off of it. There's another one going back here. What's going on behind there? Sometimes a small, just a tiny line of something can really bring the eye back. You can see this all. Slippery slope when I start doing this. I like to draw with the rubbers. It's an instrument to draw with, a tool to draw with at the end of the day, not just to get rid of mistakes, but to draw light, essentially, whereas this is to draw darkness. These are pretty hectic. See, there's no, I hate tricks. I hate sort of like, if you do this, it always works out like that. I think I like the idea of not really knowing exactly how, seeing something, wanting to explain it, but not having a sort of trick in explaining it so much as this time round, this is how I find it best to attempt to draw the hedge. Maybe next time I'll use another technique, but yeah, every now and then you see a small little moment that helps explain. There's always a functional reason, a formal reason. I want to explain the depth and the form. That's what I'm trying to explain. How do I do that best? What's going on here? See, I've just noticed there's this little bird's nest thing. Now that could help. I didn't even notice that the last time. think a suggestion of this could help with the getting the sense of the light going. So here we go, I'm going to do it. Just the shape. Maybe that is too much information, I don't know. I'm going to put the shadow back again. I want there to be more depth here. The shadow goes down. And there's one going back. It's across there. I notice there's just a small movement here. There's a reason pretty much for everything. It's all in the quest to explain, for me to try and explain what I find exciting about looking at this. And sometimes I get there and sometimes I don't, but it's intuitive, yet you do think about it. It isn't just switching off and just working. It is a kind of like, you ask yourself, what is it that excites you, and you try and find out. Sometimes, like this became that this is the most important part of the picture. First it started off with this triangle. It could end up being something else. Something else could sort of take over in the picture. I don't quite know what at the moment yet, but it can be the case that the concept, if you like, of the drawing sort of changes. I take that back, make that a little. You never get it back exactly. I mean, that quality of light you only get once. Once you've changed it, it's changed forever, really. You can't go back to how it was, which is neither good nor bad. It's just an observation. I don't mind that so much, to be honest. Yeah, I'm now like looking more at the profile of the shadow. Somehow that seems to be important. Get back again, look at the proportions of the shadow, which will move. How many minutes is that?
13.
Okay. Right. Well, people can forward wind, stop, pause, fast forward, etc. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, this is for my students, and the reason why I've taken this drawing further, apart from the fact that I think it needed to be taken further, is that I want you to do the same. I want you to not to question your first decisions, have the courage, if you want to call it courage, to actually change stuff. Sometimes change the stuff that you like the most, but for the sake of the drawing, that has to go. And the famous "kill your darlings" expression comes to light. Think about this. Think about every time you make a mark, it should have a function. What is the function of that mark? Is it to explain the form? Is it to explain the distance? Is it both? Is it because you had a strong feeling to do it, but you can't quite explain why? But I'd say formally, what I'm doing right now, I'm trying to explain what I see. And I can think about that afterwards, but at the moment, it's very much to do with being in the moment, observing, using nature, using what you see in front of you as the source of inspiration and the source of decision making. I've made that mark there to explain that because it's there, because I've seen that. I've seen shadow here, I've seen shadow on the tree, and shadow going back. Now I just noted these through simple points, going back to working back, and those two negative shapes create the tree. Again, there's a slight, okay, and so on and so forth throughout the entire drawing. Okay, I'm going to stop this for now. That does not say it's finished yet. I may well do another one or not. Okay.